All right. It looks like uh Trump is free. Looks like Trump is free. I don't know. That there's a ruling that came out today about Trump's immunity. And something is up because uh, the liberal stations are not blowing it up not blowing it up. They ain't figured out the talk lines yet. I'm pretty sure we'll hear it here in a little while. They all start singing the same tune, you know. Uh, but folks are mad, man. I mean, I guess after that debacle of a debate, uh, I didn't watch it. I knew that if you have Biden versus Trump, man, there is no debate. There is no debate at all whatsoever. The cognitive disposition in which Biden is in right now, that he's been in since before they stole it. Since before they stole it, man, it was bad then. It's worse now, you know, and so it blows my mind, man. It blows my mind. Blows my mind how much people do not see it, don't want to see it, and and their common sense is just, I don't know, man. It's just taken for a fool. They don't think you have common sense. That's why they do stuff like this. Anyways, let's let's see what's about to get the libs mad here. Let's get the libs. Let's see what they're about to be mad about.
So we're going to get out of that commercial break because we have word that the Supreme Court has issued a ruling on the extent of presidential immunity from criminal prosecution for conduct alleged to involve official acts during the tenure of President Trump. This is the big one we've been waiting for. It's consequential. It's really interesting that the Supreme Court, in 248 years of our history, has never actually ruled on this. So it is big and sweeping. And I have our political panel looking over this right now. Andy McCarthy, Chief Justice John Roberts, has the writing on this. He's got the pen. Is that significant?
It's very significant. This is the most important case of the term in terms of the long-term interests of the executive branch, in terms of the short-term interests of Donald Trump. And it looks like, at least within the bounds of clear executive authority, what Chief Justice Roberts is saying is that the president clearly has immunity from prosecution. So the question is going to be, again, I think Trey underscored this before, is what is an official act? There's going to be a lot of litigation about that, and what's close to the core of clear executive constitutional authority versus the outer ambit of it.
Brett?
This is ridiculous, man. I mean, and I'm, you know, hey, praise God, man, that this is coming together for the benefit of conservatism. Now, I'm gonna be real. It doesn't mean listen, I voted for Trump. I ain't never voted for Obama. Some people will say I ain't black. They'll call me Uncle Sam. I don't care. Yeah, really don't care. Um, I've always once I came into the realization that I could think for myself, I became conservative because I realized that we're getting taxed all the time for everything, and the only ones who seem to be pushing back on taxes of the middle class, and that middle, upper, lower, mid, low, mid, upper, middle class seems to be the Republicans, and that space of conservatism. Now, I've always believed in entrepreneurship and owning your own business, and it seems like the Republicans have always put together policies that supported business owners. Um, And so that's what made me shift to becoming conservative, and what I found the party to align with a lot of what I believe has been the Republicans, and now which essentially means less government, and more free enterprise, more marketplace, and so that is why I've shifted to conservatism, uh, from what I grew up in my childhood of just you black, you a Democrat, and it's interesting how so many assume that I'm a Democrat. And then what I found is that when it comes to that was from a regular tax, a regular secular perspective. I just figure if I'm own a business, I don't want the government all in my business, right? And they already in there enough. So, you know, there you go. But now, once I became a once I began to really understand the Christian, once I began to get a little bit more on fire for Christ, then I began to truly vote for my Christian beliefs. What policies are more aligned to my Christian beliefs. And yet again, once again, I find that to be the conservative party. I also find that to be in the libertarian party as well. However, we can see that there is a true um, uh, disproportionate representation of the Libertarian Party, because you've noticed they never get any screen time, which is extremely interesting. That's how you know the whole thing's a sham, ladies and gentlemen. Um, but there is a difference. There's a difference between being conservative and being Christian. There's some conservatives that are not Christians. So I think so many Christians get caught up that the fact that we have so many like beliefs, but it doesn't mean that they're Christian. You can have we can have some morals that we can agree on. It just doesn't mean that you know Christ. That party is representing Christ. They're just representing beliefs that we have some mutual agreement on. So, anyways, let's get back to what's going on.
Do we have Shannon? Is she going through the paperwork? Shannon, you there?
Yes. Yes, I am here. If you can hear me, let me read you a little bit of what we have from the court. It does find this under our constitutional structure of separated powers, the nature of presidential power entitles a former president to absolute immunity from criminal prosecution for actions within his conclusive constitutional authority. He is entitled to at least presumptive immunity from prosecution for all his official acts. There is no immunity for unofficial acts. That's the first blush we've got on this. It looks like a 6-3 split. We've got the dissent by Justice Sotomayor, Kagan, and Jackson join that. There is a kind of split decision on some of these. Somebody joins in one part, not in another part, but that's the overall holding of the court. So what it means now, we'll have to dig into this and see if they tell us now, how do you decide an official act versus an unofficial act? Because that's going to be critical, having now said the president does have absolute immunity from criminal prosecution for actions within his conclusive and preclusive constitutional authority. We'll dig in, see how they define those official acts, and look for a little bit more from you from the opinion. But at first blush, this looks like it is going to be a win for the argument for presidential immunity when it comes to allegations of criminal activity.
What's interesting is that, I'm sure if you're the Biden White House, you're paying close attention to this as well, because in the situation that we find ourselves in the utilization of the justices in politics. Let me go to you, Jonathan Turley, for a reaction to this decision so far.
So honestly, I was really trying to figure out what is this honestly like what does this mean? You know what I'm saying? And uh I'm gonna come back to that. So yeah, I'm gonna come back to that. But yeah, the absolute immunity means. Let's see. So I looked this up, right? So absolute immunity is this protects the president from being sued from actions taken while performing official duties. The idea is that the president should be able to perform their responsibilities without fear of personal liability. This immunity covers both civil and criminal actions. For example, the president cannot be sued for decisions made or actions taken in the course of executing the laws and fulfilling their official duties. Now, that's absolute immunity. There is a second type of immunity, which is a qualified immunity, and this offers protection from lawsuits unless it can be shown that the president violated clearly established statutory or constitutional rights of which a reasonable person would have known. This type of immunity is more common for lower level government officials rather than the president, who usually enjoys a broader protection. So, to kind of give you some flavor and some context behind what they're saying is absolute immunity. That's what it is. That he's protected while executing presidential activities, which honestly is it's kind of crazy to be honest with you. Not get it, you're almost just putting a law down while they're the president, which means they almost can literally get away with anything, um, which is what we've seen from the Biden standpoint. I saw some at glance about a young lady who was murdered, uh, a young lady who was taken out uh, by the somehow by the Bidens. I didn't read all the way into it, but apparently it's the thing. It's going all across the internet. So I might do a follow up on that. But as far as what's happening right now, as far as Trump going getting locked up, and 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 being the representative for the party, uh, this is a good win for the Biden. I mean, for the Trump administration to be. I think what we see, I think we all can see that clearly the writing on the wall, uh, that Trump is more than likely going to be back in office. What does that truly mean? I don't know, because honestly, I don't know, man. Yes, yes, I trust, yes, I think Trump has done a lot of good, but Trump has made some monumental mistakes, right? Just because you're conservative, that doesn't mean anything. I mean, like I said, just because you're a conservative doesn't mean you're a Christian. Just because you're conservative, we agree on some stuff. I don't know if that don't mean you have everybody's best interest, my best interest in heart and mind. And so uh, I think out of all the options we have, Trump is definitely the better. I think he won the previous election, and there's no way in the world you're going to convince me that Biden had more votes than Obama. It ain't no way Obama would show up in any place today and will get more views than Biden. Period. His views would rival Trump, straight up. You don't see that with Biden, which clearly you are not going to convince me that this brother won the election fair and square. He cheated. They all cheated. It was stolen, plain and simple. And the fact that conservatives, in fact, the Republicans won't won't accept that or won't honestly look into it shows you there's a problem. There's a bigger problem here. Being real, man, just being 100% real.
Well, this is along the lines of what many of us anticipated, that the court did not go with absolute immunity on everything, but did say that there's absolute immunity when it comes to core constitutional powers. We're still going through the opinion to see if there's any assistance on where that line is to be drawn. This case is going to have to go back to the district court, which is going to have to try to sort of thread this needle to determine what in the case would not fall under these protections. But this is obviously a win for President Trump in the sense that the special counsel was arguing, as with the lower court, that there was very little immunity here to be concerned with. The counsel for the government was assuring the court that they really didn't have much to be concerned with here in terms of any changes in the status of the case. That's clearly not what won the day. The court here is saying that we do need lines here drawn to protect presidents so they have some breathing room. And you have to sort of wonder how the context affected the justices. I mean, if they want to look at the implications of leaving presidents without protection, they just need to look around the country. Even though Manhattan was not a federal case, it was a political prosecution in the view of many of us that was rather raw and open. And so this is a context that must have concentrated the minds of these justices as they did what Justice Gorsuch said and tried to write for the ages, to have something not for this case, but for future cases and future presidents.
I'm Steve Doocy.
Oh, there you have it. There you have it. I do want to. I've seen this, and let me see if I can go back. See if I can find it, because apparently Biden had something to say about it, and it's always interesting to hear what the left has to say. It's here it is. I'm let's see here. Let me get it. Let's this is what the placeholder in the White House had to say. Let's see. Skip it some, 'cause, it's gonna take him like 50 minutes to get on stage. Oh yeah, look at that. It's gonna take a while. The intern. The Democrats like the interns. Golly.
It's an officer not only
Okay, here he
the
is.
president.
Let's hear the speech they wrote him. Lee, come on. Sorry, y'all. Up here he comes. Here he comes.
Good evening. The presidency is the most powerful office in the world. It's an office that not only tests your judgment, perhaps even more importantly, it's an office that can test your character. Because you not only face moments when you need the courage to exercise the full power of the presidency, you also face moments where you need the wisdom to respect the limits of the power of the office of the presidency. This nation was founded on the
Did he just say the limits? Now he know good and well he don't believe in anybody's limits of the presidency. I mean, many times as he done threatened us for wanting to keep our guns. Yeah. Or you just leaving the border wide open and then persecuting the Texas governor for wanting to close down his own borders to his own state. I don't know, man. I think you need to define what's acceptable as limits to the presidency.
principle that there are no kings in America.
Oh, you thought you won.
Each of us is equal before the law. No one is above the law, not even the President of the United States. With today's Supreme Court decision on presidential immunity, that fundamentally changed.
Oh,
For all practical purposes, today's decision almost certainly means that there are virtually no limits on what a president can do.
well, I mean, that's why Obama legislated away the Constitution. I mean, y'all the ones who did it. Seriously, y'all are the ones who did it. Now, I mean, when did the presidential immunity start? I don't know, to be honest with you. So, uh, I don't know. I don't know when it started. I gotta look that up. Um, Heck, it could have been Bush who put it in place. I gotta look that one up. I'm gonna look it up. But I don't know, man. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I know for sure you think you are a king, Joe. Especially the way you're handling this border, especially the way you're handling inflation and the things that we're experiencing today as uh, as Christians, man. I mean, as Americans, we're struggling, man. These lawmakers, y'all ain't struggling with y'all yearly salaries, uh, and expense budgets and all of this. I mean, y'all they don't feel what the common American does. I mean, don't feel the growth. You can't feel. Let me go on to you can't feel what truly Americans are feeling when you have a budget for expenses outside of your salary. You know what I'm saying? They have allowances for their housing. We don't have allowances for our housing. We have a yearly income that y'all tax nearly 40%, and we have to, live extremely below our means just to have a chicken sandwich. Just to buy some fries, just to buy some ice cream. We can't even consider ice cream. We just trying to keep gas in our car so we can get to our job. And then they trying to make you have electric cars. And we don't have the infrastructure for it. And what else? And then all that is going to do is switch it over to our electric bill, which is sky high. So we won't spend it in gas, but we're going to spend it in our electric bill. Oh, it's supposed to be solar. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's foolery. Because when they can no longer tax your gas, then they're going to tax your miles like they're doing in California. Like, come on, man. Like, this country is not better at all. At all. Funding wars that we do not need to be in. Ukraine, and as much as I support Israel, like, come on. We only got so much money. And y'all, we spend more than we make. If we spend more than we make, which is called debt, we're in trouble. Eventually, we bankrupt. Our government, roll it over to the next year. Roll it over to the next year. Who's going to call our debt when it's time? You know what I'm saying? Somebody has to be our debtor. You know? Man, it's insane, man. Anyway, now I'm on a tangent there.
This is a fundamentally new principle. and it's a dangerous precedent because the power of the office will no longer be constrained by the law, even including the Supreme Court of the United States. The only limits will be self-imposed by the president alone. This decision today has continued the court's attack in recent years on a wide range of long-established legal principles in our nation, from gutting voting rights and civil rights, to taking away a woman's right to choose, to today's decision that undermines the rule of law of this nation. Nearly 4 years ago, my predecessor.
Man, hold on. See, this is stuff. This is stuff. Take away a woman's right to choose. You mean murder? You mean get rid of? You mean abortion? You know what I'm saying? Yes, Roe versus Wade was ended. That was a good move. 'Cause we have been removing babies for a long time, specifically in low economical neighborhoods. And if we want to be real, let's just be real. You know what I'm saying? It's not about choosing, it's not about choosing life, right? There is an agenda to minimize low socioeconomic groups, Black folks, Hispanics, whatever else you want to put in that bubble. Every Planned Parenthood I saw was in the hood. Man, listen, I grew up in Houston, man. I hadn't ever seen a Planned Parenthood in River Oaks. You know what I'm saying? I've never seen a Planned Parenthood in a middle, high, upper middle class section of town. You know what I'm saying? You can sell that stuff to somebody else, man. They lying, and it's sad to be honest with you. It's only when he first came into the Oval Office, the first thing he did was get rid of policies. I mean, a whole lot of them that Trump set up that was actually moving things forward. So you want to talk about a dictatorship above the rule of law? I guess is it well within your rights to go and start Xing out all the stuff? Sure, but I tell you one thing he didn't exit out. Right? He scratched everything that Trump was doing. The one thing he did not scratch was the plan to continue the lockdowns that was going on. So you want to know if there's a real agenda? Yeah, there's an agenda. That is a real agenda. Of all the things that Trump did to destroy America, he destroyed America for the last 4 years. That's what he did. He destroyed our democracy. Yeah. But out of all the stuff that he did, you did not scratch the COVID plan. Well, I think Trump did a good job on that one because it fits my agenda to control the masses. And it's a real agenda, ladies and gentlemen. It's a real agenda. And if you don't see it by now, listen, the reason I put this channel in place is because I believe intentional Christians need to understand the times and build the kingdom of God at the same time. gotta understand what's going on. And when we look around and we see, at bare minimum, when we look at what's going on, especially when we look at uh, the what's being displayed, the talk points that are going on across the board, especially from the left. You see there is a constant same talking points, and you will begin to see these same talking points come to fruition uh, over the next couple of days as they figure out how they want to distribute the crisis of Trump receiving immunity, or they may not, because that immunity established the immunity for a Democratic president, for a Democrat president, or a Republican president. Like that immunity is going to be across the board. So they may not even say nothing if it still benefits them. And that's what you gotta be watchful for. That's what you gotta be watchful for. That's what you gotta hear for. You hear what they say and you hear what they do not say. If the overarching does not does not put out any kind of language around this, then you know they disgruntledly agree. Does that make sense? Let's see. See what else they got. And I might, because I ain't watching the rest of this.
Predecessor sent a violent mob to the U.S. Capitol to
He says sent the violent mob. A mob of old people, y'all, stormed the Capitol in January 6th. January 6th, the worst day since 9/11. One person died, and it was by the guard who shot him. That was the worst day since 9/11. Get out of here. Come on, you had grandma and grandpa walking through the Capitol, and you had a few folks who who stormed in there and tore up Pelosi's office. Okay. But what you truly saying though about January 6th, and this is what they're saying if you're a conservative, you cannot protest. You're not allowed to protest as a conservative. If you're a liberal, they don't care. Go burn down the city. You can set up your own camp in Portland, Oregon, and shut down the downtown and create a new city. You can kick in you can kick in doors at these universities and set up shop and claim this corridor for Palestine. If you're a liberal, if you're a conservative, don't you dare think about protesting. You are a war criminal. It's ridiculous.
stop the peaceful transfer of power. We all saw it with our own eyes. We sat there and watched it happen that day. Attack on the police, the ransacking of the Capitol, a mob literally hunting down the House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, gallows erected to hang the Vice President, Mike Pence.
Bruh. Is it? I'm scared for my life. Man, y'all supposed to represent the strongest country in the world. Y'all politicians scared. Get out of here, man. This is a mess. It's a hot mess. You had police just removing the barriers. Just come on in. Come on in. What they're saying is that, again, if you're a conservative, you're not allowed to protest. We're gonna lock you up. Yet they can go burn down cities, and it's called a peaceful protest, mostly peaceful protest. cars blowing up, cities being ransacked, and windows being blown out, destroyed. We saw this multiple times before the 2020. Multiple times. And the media denied it, and said it's mostly peaceful protests. Listen, y'all don't forget, don't ever forget the foolery that we saw during the 4 years of Trump and presidency. Don't ever forget. This is wickedness at its best, to just sit there and just pull a Jedi mind trick on you. Oh, the Jedi. The Jedi. You didn't see that. You didn't see that. They didn't take over Oregon. Nobody blew out windows and destroyed car lots, and a young man didn't shoot that guy in self-defense. He was a conservative criminal. That's what they're doing, man. Deception at its finest.
I think it's fair to say it's one of the darkest days in the history of America.
No, it's not. Oh my gosh. No. January 6th, one of the darkest days in American history. Darkest days in American history. Get out of here. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was a protest. A protest. One of the darkest days in American history was 9/11. You want to be real. 2 planes hit 2 buildings and 3 buildings fell. Get out of here, man. I don't want to hear this baloney. Deception at its finest, ladies and
Now
gentlemen.
the man who sent that mob to the U.S. Capitol is facing potential criminal conviction for what happened that day. And the American people deserve to have an answer in the courts before the upcoming election.
No. We don't need an answer in the courts. We already saw the answer. We hear the answer. The answer is this: if you are conservative, do not protest, because you will be prosecuted if you don't agree with our rule of law.
The public has a right to know the answer about what happened on January 6th before they are asked to vote again this year. Now, because of today's decision, that is highly, highly unlikely. It's a terrible disservice to the people of this nation. So now
Did
the
y'all hear
American
that?
people have to do what the courts should have been willing to do, but will not. The American people have to render a judgment about Donald Trump's behavior. The American people must decide whether Donald Trump's assault on our democracy on January 6th makes him unfit for public office in the highest office in the land. The American people must decide if Trump's embrace of violence to preserve his power is acceptable. Perhaps most importantly, the American people must decide if they want to entrust the president once again, the presidency, to Donald Trump, now knowing he'll be even more emboldened to do whatever he pleases whenever he wants to do it. You know,
Well, I don't know if you just heard it, but I did. They just said Trump's getting back in office. They just said that this presidency is over, and Trump. They literally just said that Trump is getting off. It's out of the left's mouth. He just said it, that Trump is getting off. And Trump is getting back in office. They know that they lost. And they know that it's so bad. They've done such a poor job They cannot resham this next election. Otherwise, it's going to be terrible. So they're going to have to delay their plans because they expanded it too fast during these last 4 years that nearly causing us to implode. So they're going to have to slow it down for another 4 years and then come back at it again. That's read between the lines, ladies and gentlemen. Read between the deception.
At the outset of our nation, it was the character of George Washington, our first president, to
Man,
define
you
the
don't say,
presidency.
man, you shouldn't even.
He believed power was limited, not absolute. And that power always resides with the people. Always.
No, no,
Now, over 200 years later,
no.
today's Supreme Court decision, once again, it'll depend on the character of the men and women who hold that presidency that are going to define the limits of the power of the presidency, because the law will no longer do it. I know I will respect.
See. Listen, y'all. You got to understand the difference between a republic and a democracy. We are not a democracy. We are not ran by the people. We are a republic, and a republic is ran by the rule of law. That is why they make so many policies to unrule the law that we have in place, which is the Constitution. They have to relaw the relaw the law in their favor. It's never been about the people. It's never been about the people. They have attempted to put the power in our hands, but it was never meant to be that way. It was always meant to be ran by a rule of law, man, that stated that God made us sovereign in his image and less government. A government for the people. That's not the government that we have today. Did it even say that even utter George Washington's name is on the edge of blasphemy to what the founding fathers has started this country with?
Respect the limits of the presidential powers I have for 3.5 years. But any president, including Donald Trump, will now be free to ignore the law.
You've been ignoring the law.
I concur with Justice Sotomayor's dissent today. Here's what she said. She said, in every use of official power, the president is now a king above the law. With fear for our democracy, I dissent. End of quote.
Right, we don't have
Associate the American people dissent. I dissent. May
please.
God bless you all, and may God help preserve our democracy. Thank
No,
you.
we don't
May
got.
God
He ain't
protect our
helping you preserve. God ain't helping you preserve no democracy because we don't got one, bro. We having a republic. We have a rule of law that needs to get back to God being the center of that law. That law was created on Judeo-Christian values, and what we have today is far from it. Far from it. Far from it. So. What this country needs is Jesus. We need Jesus bad. What we need is the church to stop being quiet and get on fire. Call the foolishness foolishness and don't accept it anymore. Stand up for what is right. Be bold for Christ. And that Christ will be back in the center of our law. But you know what? Bible says this: if my people who are called by my name would humble themselves and repent I'll heal their land. It doesn't take our government agreeing. It doesn't take uh, conservatives to get on the same page. It doesn't take liberals to get on the same page. It takes the actual believers, the actual church, to come before God and confess that we as a country have went away from the principles that this country was built on, the principles of Christ that this country was built on, the principles of the Bible that this country was built on, that became an example for all of the world, of a nation led by the Savior of the world, Jesus Christ. I feel for my country. My heart goes out for my country. Because it's not the same country that I grew up in, you know? I pray that God, I pray that Christians would repent for not standing up for Christ and not standing up for our Christian beliefs. That's really it. Not standing up for our Christian beliefs and letting Satan run over us, silence us, bear us down, shame us, sue us, throw us in jail for the cause of Christ. Click that like, comment below. I want to know your comments. Comment below. See you in the next video. Peace.